Welcome to EPS ParaTalk. I'm Robert. This is
Freddie. Hey guys.
Hope everybody's doing well today. Freddie, while you share, I'll go ahead and just take over this. Go ahead and share that to our page. I'd appreciate it. Can you talk at the same time while we go?
I can try.
Okay.
I can try.
While Freddie's sharing it to the page, hope everybody again is doing well out there. This is the Elite Paranormal Society. We do these talks every week, and I'll catch up in just a moment with the people that are on. Craig is one of the first people to jump on, which we appreciate. Share, keep him busy. She's always busy jumping around. Gina, same thing. Share, for anybody who's coming on, feel free certainly to go ahead and share any of your links as far as to your page or whatnot. Glad to see you guys coming on. Appreciate it. Helena, thank you so much. Valerie, again. Ted, glad to have you. Few quick shout outs. We are going to be discussing a couple items today. We always take questions, so if you have questions, feel free to share. Tom, glad you're on with us again. Grounded Paranormal, we love it. Jeremy, thanks again. Love having you around with us. These are always casual talks. It's a chance for us to network. We kind of share the information that we've learned while we've been investigating. Try to help people not fall on their face like we have done several times. Elaine, thanks for being on. It does happen, and it's always nicer if you can kind of get some information that's going to make it, so you don't run into the same issues that we ran into as a team. We try to learn from our mistakes, and we just try to share. We are just as guilty at making pretty much all the same normal mistakes that everybody else are making out there. So we originally started when we were doing the live investigations at locations, when we were doing live ghost hunts. We did the Halloween look with the flashlight under your face that kind of lit you up like a little jack-o'-lantern. We were doing that quite a bit, so try not to go back there anymore. You can absolutely, Valerie, if you want to share it onto your YouTube, absolute. Eventually we will be splitting our sharing on multiple, doing multiple streaming at the same time, but we're not. You can feel free to go ahead and share on your YouTube. Anybody else can do the same thing if they want. It's a quick way to have...
I'm back.
Hey, glad to have you back. It's a quick way to go ahead and get some other material on your YouTube page if you want. I'm going to switch it back over to you. Labani, if I said your name wrong, I sincerely apologize. Jade, Aaron, thanks for being on, and you're caught up. Just keep going down with it. Let's take a second while people are jumping on. Let me throw a little bit of audio at you and see what you hear. I respond and say, yeah, but see what you make out of this one first. I don't want to say what it is first. Let's see what you guys can hear. So I know there's a delay between us playing and you guys getting a chance to answer. If you can hear any of the words of that, this is an EVP, or I'm sorry, this was actually a spirit box I went ahead and cleaned up. Even on the spirit box, if I use Audacity, you can actually take out all the white noise and actually hear what's being said, which makes a difference. Again, my name is Robert. I'm the founder. This is
Freddie.
So when you hear the name, just listen to. If you didn't hear the name, it does say Robert first. Look here. Sharing is caring. I love that mentality. Thank you so much. Bill's on with us. Always love having Bill with us, obviously. Mr. Jokester. Bill is not a troll for anybody who doesn't know who Bill is. Bill is fantastic. He's been incredible support, and I really appreciate his knowledge as well.
Bill is Bill.
Bill is definitely Bill. That's a great way to put it. So it's Robert. I said, yeah. It says, look here. So no, Gina, it wasn't. It was actually much calmer.
Shout out to Michelle.
Michelle
joined.
You want to talk about somebody who's positive? Michelle, I love your posts. She's always like, have a great Friday, have a great Monday. It doesn't matter what day of the week. Or you can share your Kool-Aid, whatever you're having. But she's always in such a nice, cheery mood, and I appreciate that, Michelle. Thank you so much.
I could have used that little positivity last week. But...
Yes, while you was out of town, it was not fun.
No, it wasn't.
This one's a little bit harder, but this is, again, is a spirit box. And all I've done is I've went ahead and filtered out all the white noise. and they're different voices, but on this one, there's nobody that's actually in the room talking. So the words you hear are not coming from anybody. So it comes kind of fast. So I just played it over a couple of times. Yeah, Aaron, I get my name a lot, and realistically, we've had every team member that has ever been with us have had their name come through it. It's pretty amazing when they start saying your name.
Welcome,
very
Marcy.
Personal.
Marcy's on.
Marcy, thanks for being on.
Sandy.
Sandy, love having Sandy on as well. Sandy does so much. We don't give enough credit to everybody that certainly deserves it. One more time. Again, when you listen to that, somebody lost connection. On the bus, no wonder.
Bus, yeah.
Yeah, please, could you help us, or could you help out? Play it. Last clip. So, again, that's a spirit box, and when you're actually getting something that is, whether it's got your name, when they're asking you for help, everybody got the help out of any of these clips. And that's what really pulls at our heartstrings. We love when we go to a location and we're trying to help, and people can go ahead and you can believe anything you want to believe. It doesn't matter to us. It's not going to offend us if you hear something different. Our own teammates hear something different. And that's just part of it. You have to take time to actually go through the software. I can actually look at the voice patterns and actually see where their syllables are at, or the words are at, and that makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on sometimes. Very interesting. I love audio.
Hey, Winnie. Wendy.
And again, remember, I've been using headphones on this a lot, and I've gone over a lot of these, so that's why I've got a little bit of a head start on it. I do want to jump into, on our own page, we were just talking about this, and it's something more that I want to talk about. I saw an awesome post written today, and again, my apologies for whoever the person was that wrote the post, but what they were saying is, what is your take on this? So often you'll see where people talk about being at a location, they say, it's haunted, it's got demons, it's a demonic location. They're using the term demonic and demons readily. Is that something that you guys see in the field quite a bit? And if so, what's your take on that? Are they doing that to draw attention, to make it sensationalize it? Or are they really misunderstanding just because it's something negative happening or it sounds negative? Are they really taking it the wrong way?
Shout out to Carrie Smith Harvey from South Dakota.
South Dakota, awesome. One of the questions I asked on our last show that we do on our page, which we do at noon every Sunday, is I asked a couple of what type of activity kind of makes you think that the activity is actually demonic. And this is going from anybody who has not been in a field to somebody who has been in the field, or somebody who's investigated for a long time. Anita, I'm looking past the camera. Anita, Norway. I see you. I want to say hi from Norway. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I want to do this audio. I'm going to speed it up to locate to a spot. Nope, not that one. Come on, Mr. Computer. What do you think, Jeremiah? Keep it on. Now that's me saying keep it on. Just you're listening to, you'll hear obviously the amplified sound. Keep it on. That is not a belly growl. That is not somebody's belly just making its own sound. That was a sound that came off of it. And we knew that there was something in the room at the time. Keep it on. Hopefully you can hear that.
Valerie has, would you say a demonic presence is different than a spirit that is frustrated and stuck in between and needs help?
Great question, Valerie, and that's what we wanted to address, because I think a lot of people get those mistaking, they think that anything negative. You guys ever heard of grumpy ghost syndrome? It's a situation which I make basically where you have something that's irritated, someone that has lived in the house all their life, and maybe they're staying in the house because they want to stay in the house. and the new owners come in, and the first thing they want to do is start doing renovations. How often do you hear that when people have started renovations, the activity happens? Well, let's just say it was your house and you lived in that house for the last 50 years, and that's your house, and you passed, but it's still your house. You still feel like it's your house. You're still there as a ghost. If people come in and start changing or knocking walls down, are you going to get upset? Typically, most people would. That's grumpy ghost syndrome. So they might move something. They might knock on something. They might make other sounds. Does that mean it's demonic? Absolutely not. Demonic is not human. Grumpy ghost is human. It's a human spirit. Demonic energy is not the same as far as I'm concerned, as far as in our what we've been through. We definitely do not considering that to be demonic in a human spirit or just a spirit energy like that. Definitely different. Linda, thanks for being on. What did Sandy say? Probably 98% of
the time it's not demonic. It's nothing more than an unhappy spirit.
Absolutely. You have spirits that were extremely mean in life, and even when they're in that location, they can be extremely mean. Some spirits don't want to go further because they know, okay, let's just say we don't know. So why don't they want to leave that location? Are they worried about judgment? I mean, some of the ones we've talked to through our medium, which you'll see behind us, we've got our sign for our medium, Janie. She's our team medium. She's phenomenal. But through other extremely talented people with abilities, they're scared to go forward. They've done really bad things on this side, and they're scared now they're going to be judged or something's going to happen to them, so they don't want to go anywhere. Quick shout out
to Beth. Thanks for joining us.
Beth, sweetheart, so sorry about your loss. Very, very sorry about your loss. She's still telling me, I'm sorry.
She said she passed 3 days ago, and she still tells me what she wants.
Can she still tell me what she wants? Sweetie, if somebody picks up on it, they'll let you know. This is not regular readings. We do have a psychic medium on our team, but if you're asking whether or not somebody if somebody can tell you what she wants to tell you, these two right here in front of you, don't take our word for anything psychic. Not when it comes to actually hearing. We do not have those abilities or claim to. Go down next. What would you consider a demonic energy? Explain in detail if possible. Valerie, great. That's something we're going to go over. I want to ask you guys a couple of questions first, and then we're going to go through that demonic activity. For you guys, 3 scratches. What does that mean to you guys? Is 3 scratches. If all of a sudden he's got 3 scratches on the side of his head, does that mean we have a demon in the house with us? And that's my question to you guys. I'd really like to know what you guys think. And Janie is awesome. She's phenomenal. It's amazing having her around. We're very, very blessed. And again, we have some fantastic people on here that have great abilities. Just like growls, aren't all bad and evil. Absolutely, 100% agree with you on that. That was the next question I was going to ask. Growls. Do you hear a growl? Does that mean that it's demonic? And you'd be really surprised how many people, they're not saying it's demonic because they just want the ooh and ah from it, because they actually freak out. There's plenty of teams, plenty of groups, plenty of people that hear a growl and will absolutely run out of the location because it really does scare them. It's not that they're doing it just to go ahead and make it seem that way in all sincerity. Tony?
Tony joined us. Can spirits can stuck between heaven and hell and earth? Is it like the movie Ghost, Another Dimension?
This is based, everybody's entitled to their own opinion of what goes on. From our experience, just speaking from that, Tony, and my belief, very simple. Do I believe that ghosts get stuck here? Absolutely. It's no different. Suicides, you hear that quite often. We know at locations that have had horrendous murders, where there's a murder, really unfortunate things have happened in locations. You'll notice there's always that type of activity they're talking about, and different people, different apparitions even being seen. That where basically they actually get stuck. They can't leave. A negative energy will actually hold them there. We know the same thing for suicides. Sometimes when, like a suicide, it's not uncommon to have activity after that person has committed suicide in that location. They don't know what comes next. They don't know where to go. Nothing's taking them across. In locations that we go in, which we treat really negative locations, and negative locations, again, are not always demonic. It can be somebody who's so frustrated on the other side, or somebody who's just nasty in death, just like they were in life. and they just like irritating. I mean, people are like that. You know people like that in real life. Why aren't they going to be the same on the other side? So when we've helped spirits cross over, then that activity just completely dies away. Why is that? Now, that doesn't mean that person, once that person crosses, that spirit crosses, doesn't mean they can't come back and be transitional. Sure they can. I honestly believe that once a spirit crosses, it's going wherever it's supposed to go. And if it's going to heaven or whatever your belief is, then once it's where it's supposed to be, then like loved ones, they come and they check on you. All of a sudden you smell that perfume, that cologne, that cigarette smoke, that cigar smoke, that pipe that your granddad used to smoke. I mean, very specific. You smell it. You know it's them. Particular drink. You know, something about that individual comes back to you. That's a loved one just saying, hey, I'm around you, buddy. We're all good. Okay?
Real quick, Linda. Thanks, Linda. I know I look smart with glasses on. I try to improve myself. But anyway, Valerie, 3 scratches, I couldn't say for personal experience, but in research and watching paranormal videos, it symbolizes something demonic, negative.
And that's what we wanted to hit on. We've been in numerous locations that people have been scratched, 3 scratches. You'll notice what's the longest fingers you have? 3 of them are pretty close together. The other ones are kind of far apart. 3 scratches are supposed to be the mocking of the Trinity, Trinity. So do we honestly believe that 3 scratches are demonic? The answer to that is no. And that's going to go against a lot of, people's beliefs out there. But we've been in locations, the worst scratches we've had was on the back of a 14-year-old that came up while we were there. And it was 4 scratches, but it was the most horrific scratches I physically have ever seen personally develop on somebody. And in 20 minutes, they were gone. But there was nothing demonic in that case at all. And that's the point that we're trying to make. Growls. I get to the other side, you guys are all safe. But there's going to be people, I'm going to growl like a champ if I get to be transitional.
Like Marcy just said, I'm not sure that the 3 scratches mean anything bad. The spirit doesn't know exactly how much strength it has at the point. So, which is another
thing we want. All right, go out on a limb with me. For all of you guys that are skeptics, I'm perfectly fine with that. Let's just say the reason why they talk, like I usually have to slow down the speed of conversation from them. If I slow it down by 14-15%, I can understand what they're saying. If you leave it, they're talking faster. Most of us that have been in the field recognize we see shadow people and we see things and they move much quicker than we do. And then with that, if you actually read a lot of the reports where people have had sightings of apparitions or ghosts, they're never on the floor. They're almost always above the floor up to 2 feet. So if that was the case and they're moving at a different speed and on a different level than we are, when they go to touch somebody trying to get their attention, do they always mean to scratch them? It leads reasoning to wonder. I mean, you can't sit there and definitively say, yes, they tried to scratch. I agree, Tom. Growling does not mean that everything is demonic. Not in my opinion by far. Other people have the opinion, and I understand.
Janie joined.
Janie.
Sharon.
Thank you for being on, Janie. We're just talking about you, as a matter of fact.
Valerie said also, 3 scratches could also be a frustrated spirit who just needs you to help them. I don't know, just...
Valerie, you're absolutely on. You're dead on with what you're saying. Just because somebody has 3 scratches, 3 knocks. I don't always knock come on. It's not uncommon for people to knock 3 times. Song, knock 3 times. So people say, oh my God, I just heard somebody knock 3 times. Whoa, it's okay. Kurt, do you agree activity can have huge fluctuations, more active when teens are in the home? Or new owners, going down on his, or new owners experience dormant, resting, wake up. In that case, in all sincerity, Kurt, I believe more often it's the grumpy ghost syndrome when you've just changed somebody if somebody lived in a location and that's the ghost or spirit that lives there, and then somebody comes in and they start remodeling the house, it upsets them. Some ghosts get upset by that and they just get really no different. If you take an object from the house or a location, all of a sudden they start really becoming more active. A lot of times that's a grumpy ghost syndrome where they just want their house to remain like it was because as far as they're concerned, they still live there. Some people don't want to move on. Sorry, that's just a fact of life. You can't cross somebody on the other side that doesn't want to go. If they want to stay in that house, you can't just make them go unless they're evil. You can bring in some higher power to go ahead and help you do that. But you can go ahead and get them to understand.
Shout out to Teresa.
Teresa, thanks for being on.
Sometimes a disembodied voice may be deep voice, but not audible to us, will come across as the ground.
Excellent point, Sandy. And again, if you have headphones on, take them off because I'm going to do a deeper voice. So, and it can be taken the wrong way. Hello. Get out. If I said get out, or I said get out, that sounds scary, but there's people, we obviously know people that have this real high or real deep voice. Does that mean that they're trying to be scary? Not necessarily. Unfortunately, too often it's taken the wrong way.
Sharon has, when you help a spirit, do you have to be at the location, or can they come to you for help?
Sharon, I know people do remote help. Absolutely. Some people are very few people that I personally know are extremely good at remote help. That person is able to travel to that location. Most spirits are stuck or bound to a location, and that's why they're looking for help. I mean, we can go with help. We can go with more helps as far as EVPs, spirit box, and stuff like that, because they want to get out of that location. Is something holding them back? Most of them do not come to you unless, I'm not saying they can't. There's more transitional that can come back and forth. The ones that have the hardest time are the ones that are bound to a particular location. When something, and we have a bad location like that, we know as soon as we take the person out of that location, 99% of the time, there's nothing else happening at that point. Now, that's different than something actually attaching itself to you, and sometimes they'll attach to you for help. They have the ability to actually, get a hold of your energy and hang on to you, and there's a reason for that as well.
Hello to Denise from Chicago. Confused spirits can be high energy, like us, with anxiety.
And when we're saying confused spirits, you have spirits that it's all human. I mean, look at how many different people we have. What about those that were extremely troubled, mentally unstable in life? Can they be like that on the other side? Absolutely. Christina, thanks for being on with us from Alberta, Canada.
Thanks for joining.
We appreciate all you guys being on. Thank you so much for everybody who's been sharing. We sincerely appreciate that. Rachel?
As you also have to keep in mind that demonics can pretend to be nice, or children or something they're not, but agree with what you're saying.
Okay, let's go across that real quick. And what she's talking about, she's absolutely right. You have two different energies, and one is not demonic. You have entities which are not demons. An entity, there's definitely a separation between them. An entity does not have a particular smell that a demon puts off. An entity is an extremely clever trickster who will definitely pretend to be a child, more targeting children most often, but will target adults. They're notorious for trying to split up the couple. You'll find that all of a sudden you're arguing a lot in your house for no reason. I mean, you find yourself in arguments all the time when you're in a house. When you guys go out, everything's okay. That can, in locations that are having very negative activity, entities get in your minds. They are wonderful at getting in your minds, looking at it like a filing cabinet and going, oh yeah, I'm going to use this. Usually with an entity, there's a particular closet. I know it sounds weird. Don't ask me. Maybe they're cross-dressers. I don't know. But there's a particular closet that they use as a control. That's an entity. Again, an entity will often befriend a child, and that's why we get a little nervous. Not saying that every imaginary friend is an entity. I am not saying that, so please put the brakes on before you go there. But we do want to pay attention to that, because what an entity will do, let's use a child for instance. An entity will first try to befriend them. Act like a little kid, it befriends them. Then it's going to go ahead and it's going to start, it can use some really bad, unfortunately they use some really bad leverage against the child. It will say that it's going to do something very bad to the parents unless the child does this. Real small, not bad things, to really bad things at first, and then activity builds up as far as how bad it is. If that's not enough, it can then show itself as an actual adult, and that intimidates most children as well. And then it says, I will hurt whatever. So it can really scary, and that can be a real bad situation. But not freaking out, number one, is really important. But people need to know this. A demon, unlike the entity that's using a closet as a control spot, but in other words, that's where it's basically its home basis. Doesn't mean that's where the activity's at. But people will get really eerie when they walk to a location like that. A demon is going to use whether it's legion or you don't have, when you have demon, yes, you can have multiple demons in one location, absolutely. That's called legion. And they're going to utilize an attic or a basement typically. You go into the attic or basement and you just feel like absolutely you do not want to be there. That's your body going, hey, get out. Sorry, I know, long-winded, but
no, it's fine. I'm just trying to catch up.
You got about 70 more, and they're going to disappear in a minute. Yeah. Love your questions, guys. We're trying to definitely answer your questions. We love all the information you guys are putting out there. Thank you so much, Colette. I know you're jumping, going back and forth on you. We appreciate that.
Michelle, thanks for joining.
Yes, there are absolutely elementals too. Elementals are basically an energy. Think of a cyclone of energy that's always spinning, and even spirits don't like them, and even other nasty things don't want to be around them because all they're doing is trying to draw this energy into them. They typically go along the same pathways, very consistent, but I'm not going to go ahead and dwell on that too much here. Deborah, Sherry.
Deborah and Robert. Robert jumped on.
Robert, thanks for being on. Appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry if we're missing anybody. We're just trying to give shout outs as we go along.
Janie has walked at home once where the owner kept hearing the doorknob move. Turned out the man that died in the house was just trying to get out and didn't know how.
We were laughing about that one, actually. I know which one she's talking about. The activity was always by the dog, by the door. The dog was always reacting at the door and whatnot. And there was a particular light there, but there was definitely activity at the door. And Janie was doing a read on a house. She was at the house, and she was talking with the spirit, actually, and she started laughing, and she goes, this is so funny. He thought, you watch cartoons and stuff, you see the ghosts, they pass right through the wall. He said, he doesn't know how to get through. He can't just pass through. He has to wait for somebody to open a door so he can leave. Yeah. And we all started laughing. To us, it was pretty funny.
Sandy says, I have something for investigators to consider. Most investigators go into a home or building asking spirits to knock, make noises, speak, whatever. Do they consider the fact that these were people, not dogs? It's almost like asking the spirits to do tricks. Would you walk into a house and demand the people there to speak, knock, whatever? It's the same in the spirit world. This, of course, is just my opinion.
I get that, Sandy, and I think most of us are all guilty of that, not really paying attention to how that can actually come over. I absolutely agree with you, and I'd be the first one to raise my hand and say I'm guilty of that, Sandy. Yeah. And I'm looking straight up and saying right to you, I have asked him to knock. I do ask him to do things, and the first thing when we go to an investigation, one of the first things we do is we sit down, we start to acclimate the first time. I want it very clear to any energies that are there. Hey, we do not mean any disrespect. We do not mean to hurt you or offend you in any way. We just want to communicate. And I think that makes a little bit more sense when you say that and you're saying, hey, can you roll a ball? Can you knock on something twice if you're here with us? I think it has a little more validity. But it does come over as asking for tricks.
But it's a way we get them to communicate, try to. But yeah, we don't think of it that standpoint. So.
But it's something to be considered. And Sandy, I always appreciate your input because you're afraid to say what's on your mind, and I like that. I think it's something we need to definitely think about.
Hey, Bonnie.
Okay, you have to try that name. I am so sorry. I want to give a shout out because I haven't recognized the name right above Bonnie. Go up one.
I'm trying.
You might want to go down a little bit. Never mind. Right there.
Lakesh.
If we messed up your name, I'm sincerely apologetic for it. Rob was talking about, it's a different location than what she was telling about. Okay, my bad. My apologies. But that was the same thing where just because people are spirits or ghosts, there's a lot of assumption made of what they can see. Do they see us as being physical, or are we clear to them? Are we holograms to them? Who's to say? You know, so when they go to touch us, do they know where our defined body actually is, or are they judging where we're at?
I had to finish my stuff.
Oh, she stopped.
Where's
Bonnie?
Yeah, where's ours, Bonnie?
No kidding. So again, going back to what this conversation was about with locations, you know, how quick people are to use the term demonic or demon or anything like that. We've had multiple locations where we have had devil, demon, you know, all kinds of names come over and over and over again, and there was no demon or devil there. I would hope the devil has a better thing to do with his time than sit in some cruddy old basement that has very little activity in it. You know, even I really wouldn't want him to be that bored. I mean, let's be real.
Christy says, you know, we're actually nice guys, great show host.
Thank you, Christy. We always appreciate
we try.
That. We do. And we're going to go, I'm going to talk about this subject just for a minute, and then we're going to get on to also about the viewers, what we want to talk about,
yes.
you know, here in the near future, some
yes.
of the changes. But that's something I just want people to consider when they're going out into the field and they start talking about whether or not activity is demonic. How well do they really know demonic activity? And if you haven't really actually experienced demonic activity, it's very serious, and it should be taken, the demonic activity should be taken very, very serious, without a question. Even an entity should be taken very serious. It's not something to play around with, but pushing everything is, you know, just because, you know, a ball moves, now somebody screams that it's a demon. Stop. You know, something moves and lifts up in the air. Only a demon can do that. I highly disagree with that. So that's what I'm saying, you know, slow down. Bonnie, I'd appreciate anybody. Bonnie is able to communicate with the other side. Janie is able to communicate with the other side. I would love to know what we look like to them. How solid are we, and do they know exactly where to touch us at? One of our teammates that were on before, he used to always talk about how a particular area on his body would get cold, but it was really never like fingers. It was always, oh my gosh, it's really cold right here. So it was 9 times out of 10, it was not like you could feel the fingers. It was always just a coldness that they would feel, which most of us believe that's when a spirit is around you and they're drawing some of your energy. They're not trying to make you cold, but then you could feel them there. Bonnie's actually going to be with us on an upcoming investigation. Bonnie's going to travel all the way back up the East Coast and come out on another investigation with us. Love having her with us. It's great. What did Jenny say?
I've often been asked if energy different within spirit that takes their own lives versus spirit that was murdered. The answer is yes, for me anyway.
And anybody that turns around that has abilities, you're going to get something different than how another person that has abilities are going to receive it. Some people feel just nothing but vibration. And based on if a vibration is from the waist down, it means it's a child. If it's higher up, it means adult. If it's on the right side, it means it's a male. If it's on the left side, it means it's female. I'm just saying, and other people are actually seeing it. Go right back up. Just
going back up is the hard part.
You want me to do it for you? It's not. All you have to do is hold this key down and just push up.
You're funny.
Or just click on it. I was just looking for the one that was the demon. She was just saying something about demonic. Do you see it?
Right, I need your comment sign.
All right. Apologize. Just working on it. There you go. Father-in-law moves stuff all the time, and he's not demonic in any way. Absolutely. And that's what we're saying is just because the nature of what's happening with the activity, it's not the one part. It's not, hey, you know, this person was scratched 3 times. It's not because something was moved. It's not because somebody's building something in your attic. The one part is not it. There's a lot more to it. As far as that creates, that gives us the impression that it might be demonic activity. Definitely when there's particular, you start watching the religious artifacts that start having issues as far as, you know, being moved, turned, broken, whatever, things like that will happen. Can there be growling? Absolutely. And then there's usually, it's multitude of these that are actually going on. Like I said about the entity, an entity will go after one, divide and conquer, especially if it can break up the relationship between the adults, it's a lot easier as well. If it's not targeting a child because there's no children that live there, it will try to break up a relationship or make one person look like they're having a mental breakdown, because then it will also affect their sleeping. Whereas a demon has no problem. If it wants to affect the entire house, it will affect the whole house at the same time. It enjoys it. Ultimately, they all love the rush of people being extremely nervous.
Janie had to answer that, Rob. I guess the one question. Yes, we look like living people to them.
Great. I appreciate that, Janie. There's a delay from when we ask a question, of course, as the feed goes out and comes back. It's a little bit of a delay, so we'll keep going back and forth. But I'm bad at being a squirrel. Diane, thanks so much for being on. Kathy, just give you guys shout outs. Often feel there's several people on here that are extremely gifted, which we appreciate.
Aaron says, I believe that they can see us well, a little blurry, but more by our auras.
A lot of people believe it's a lot by auras as well, and if so, again, that would attest to why people sometimes get scratched. And even the scratching sensation, the scratching, when anybody has been scratched, typically paranormal scratches are not the same as if you walk by something that's very rough and it hits you on your arm and you're like, ow, man, that hurt, it scratched me. Typically people are going to be saying, it burns, and then they open it up and they look, move their clothing away, or sometimes it'll be on the bare skin, and that's where the scratches are actually at, and it's actually a burning sensation.
Deborah has, I'd love to go on an investigation some weekend when not working. It would be a first for me. We'll be watching to see when, I guess, sometime.
Yeah, when we're out obviously the weather's changing. We're still trying to find a couple of indoor locations to go to, because we really want to go ahead and put together a couple of publics so people can come out with us more. Love having people come out with us.
Kathy says, how can I tell who it is?
Well, and that's something also when we're talking about the negative side of it. You can't just jump to a conclusion that that's somebody unless they have really particular details that that's very private. Can things act like somebody Absolutely. Just be careful with that.
Colette Basie, I see them in mind's eyes and sometimes know that they are near me, feel their energy, and I see orbs day and night with my own eyes, blue ones, white ones. Don't see them every minute of the day. Yeah,
that's a little bit more particular. When orbs are a real big argument in the paranormal field. But when you see an orb, just think of a circular orb, and you see it, a green or a blue one or whatever color, and it's daylight, you're not using any IRs or any cameras or anything, and you actually see that. Can it actually happen? It absolutely does happen.
Kathy Basie just said too, I walk through a room and the lights flicker. Is it energy from the other side, or is it my energy?
Kathy, I have to know a little bit more to that. I mean, I do the same thing when I'm driving down the road and I watch all the light poles go, no matter what kind of car I'm driving. Kind of wonder about it, how much electronic equipment will break down around you. I don't know enough individually about you to be able to tell you. I'd like to be able to, but I'm not going to sit there and lie to you.
Sandy said she'd like to join us one day on the investigation.
Sandy, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Actually, that's Sandy, and I think there's one more Sandy. I know there's two particular Sandys I can see on right now that I would definitely, you guys could come with us anytime. Yeah. Janie has been scratched, choked, pushed, lifted. She hasn't been completely lifted off her toes, but she's been put up on her toes. She's been choked completely out. She's had nosebleeds. She's had all kinds of stuff happen to her, and not from something like what you watch something. Janie usually wears her hair in a ponytail, and while we're live, you could actually see when she's being attacked, you'll actually see her clip or her ponytail, the rubber band go shooting out. Whatever's holding her ponytail will get knocked off to the side and be hanging in her hair while we're live. That's why we do it live.
Steve has, when a medium is making contact with a spirit, does he or she ever get a name, or is it just a visual image?
Oh, Steve, absolutely names. Not saying every medium or psychic is different. There's a numerous amount of times, like we're asking on investigation, hey, do you have a name for us that you can lead us on? And like you'll hear Sarah, or you'll hear something in particular that actually matches records of who was at that location. When they do reads for people like yourself, and all of a sudden they tell you, hey, you've got an aunt, and they start explaining exactly, hang on, and not one of these that says, well, it sounds like a C word, it sounds like a C word, Tom. Yeah, that's it. When you say Tom, I'm not talking about that kind of a medium or psychic. I'm talking about somebody that says, Sam or Samantha, I mean, they know, depending on if you're using the long version, they know who it is. Billy or William, the names that tie into the actual, and give you nicknames. Yes, that actually happens.
Christy, if a loved one does not visit at all, does that mean they have crossed over?
Even with the ones that cross over, and again, not all loved ones that cross over are able to communicate with you, or we don't always pay attention to it. How many of us have kids? And I know when we had 5 kids in the house, plus all their friends over, they would have to pick something and throw it, and I still wouldn't have paid attention to it, quite honestly, because most of us don't turn around and listen. Janie's saying no sound. Does everybody else have sound? If you guys can hear us all right, can you just go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you can hear?
Unless you would reply to something you said earlier.
No sound. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so people are hearing. All right. If you're not hearing, I apologize, but all right, cool.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, what were we just talking about? I just jumped my thought.
I don't know, dude.
I am so sorry. I just lost thought when I just read that comment. It'll come back to me again. One of those things of age.
Is that what it is?
I'm blaming it on the age game, all right? Let me see if I can pull up a couple of. Go ahead. I want to play a couple of audio clips too.
I'm trying to catch up here a little bit. See if anybody new.
If you're new, we apologize. We want to try to give you a shout out. That's what we try to. Okay, sound is on. Great.
Thanks.
Just want to make sure. People ask about that often, and you'll hear where people say a poltergeist is an act. And again, what's the activity going on? I'm not a real big fan of the terminology poltergeist because people want to, what it's saying, and the field is split on this. They say it's young preteen females that typically cause poltergeist activity, which means that's when all kinds of crazy stuff is happening. That's the locations I want to check out. Do I think your daughter is trying to harm yourself and everybody else? No, personally, that's not my belief.
You were talking about crossing over.
Thank you so much about that.
Thanks, Valerie.
What part of crossing over was I talking about? That was the problem.
Valerie, help us out there too.
A little bit more on that one. As far as crossing over, though, people have got to want to cross over. If you can remember what I was talking about at the time, that would be great. That would be a huge help. At least somebody was listening. Thank you. Diane, is there anything she can do? God, I missed what comment she was making before that. If you get a chance, just go up a little bit and see if you can see her comment real quick. Diane, I'm so sorry. That's what happens.
Oh, my granddaughter, I believe, has a poltergeist.
Diane or anybody else that's having issues, in all sincerity, I need to have a little bit more information before I can really tell you. Yes, you can always take care of an issue. I've got people, I work with a lot of people throughout the United States. I work with my team, and I also work individually with other people where I cannot get to. And that's very, very important because if not, they feel like they're losing their minds. And of course, you want to protect your child, your kids, yourself, your loved ones.
Aaron said you were talking about relative spirits.
Okay, I'll be.
Sorry,
I'll be onto that. We're really going to go through a circle on this one. Look, we're on Paranormal Warehouse right now. It's a wonderful platform. But if you send an email or a message to us right here, we're not going to get it. You're going to want to go up to the top. Craig, can you put our link in, please, for our page? Somebody, Sandy. If you go to our link for our actual Facebook page and message us, or you can message me directly, I have no problem getting back to you, and I will absolutely tell you steps to take, legitimate steps to take. In all sincerity, we deal with some very, very vile locations. We have dealt with very, very bad locations. We definitely want to help you. As far as going back, and I'm jumping real quick because we're trying to get a lot of stuff in here in a very fast time. As far as jumping back, as far as for spirits and those that are come, loved ones, they can, once they cross, they can, yes, answer other people's questions. Yes, they can come back if they want. Are they always able to contact you like somebody else? Somebody else had a phantom smell where they could smell that cigar that their granddaddy always used to smoke. They know it's their granddad. Are they going to contact you the same way with a particular smell? Probably not. Everybody's different. Again, doesn't mean they could be trying to contact you. Janie, you can attest to the one that I was talking about earlier. Janie told the client, we went to a location, the client had lost her son. It was her youngest son, which really, really crushed this client. We've talked about her before. She was crushed. And Janie, of course, she knows Janie's never been in her apartment at the time. And Janie says, in the hallway, in front of that dresser right there, there's a mirror. And you always finish dressing in front of that mirror every morning, don't you? Without seeing anything else. I mean, we're in the living room, and she points down the hallway and says that. And the woman says, yes. She says, your son is there every day, just trying to talk to you, hoping you're going to hear one word, just one word you'll hear, so you know he's okay. I mean, they can't all communicate the same way. They can't all knock when we ask them to knock. They can't all move a ball or move objects. They can't. So just because you don't think that a loved one on the other side is trying to reach out to you, they probably are. You know, watch for those little signs. Give it time. It's also, we think of time like every day. Oh my gosh, look how much time's gone by. It's been a month. I haven't heard anything from my loved one, and they're gone. They've never tried to come back. So you feel like they left without you and they didn't even say goodbye. And a lot of people feel that, and it's not always the case. On the other side of the spectrum, I've known, like I was talking about this before last week, where a woman who unfortunately lost her mother, and within the week, the woman starts to go up the stairs, and right at the top of the steps is her mom, and the woman loses her mind. She was like, oh my God, you know, and she's still freaked out. And as she's talking about it, she's getting crazy, you know, she see how upset it makes her, just the fact. And it was like, but slow down. How did your mom feel? Your mom was able to show herself to you and was just trying to basically say, I'm okay. And you completely lost it, you know? Slow down, your poor mom. How is she supposed to show herself? What if she can't make any other sound, but the only way she can communicate is to actually physically show herself? I hope that answers that question anyway.
Back a little bit on Diane's about the poltergeist.
Yes.
Stuff. She said, I don't think it's a bad thing. It actually warned my daughter that her blood glucose was low.
Then that's not honestly, Diane, that's not a poltergeist. A poltergeist is supposed to be definitely a negative energy that is threatening. Everybody that's on here, think about for a minute, if you think everything around you is negative, you're wrong. I'm going to be the first person to tell you, and I don't care if you don't like it, I'm telling you, you're wrong. There's so many family members, people you haven't met that is around you that do try to protect you, even in the worst of times. They're looking to try to help you out. How many of you guys have had that weird feeling that if you went this way, something's going to happen, so you went a different way? And what happens? Something bad happened right there, which had happened at the same time you would have been there. Your flight got canceled, and unfortunately the plane had an issue. You didn't drive that particular road that you drive every day. You went a different way. There was a horrible accident there. You think that's just random? Or is there a good possibility that there's really someone on the other side looking out for you? Diane, you're absolutely welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you.
We're here to share and work with. If you want to talk to us personally, certainly, like I said, jump over to our page. We're just trying to be honest with you and help you out. Had a phantom smell. A phantom smell, that's when all of a sudden you smell the perfume of somebody, or at a location that they're not even, they're not there, but something that's very different.
Speaking of that, I smell my dad's cologne. That he passed away in 13, and he had this old generic, like it was in a glass car cologne.
Yep, I remember those.
That smelled terrible.
Yep,
but that's what they use, and I still smell that. And there's none. I don't have any possession of any of his cologne, but still get a whiff of once in a while. So
that's very important. I want to shift gears again. I really want to ask you guys a couple of questions. Number one, when you guys are watching live, and I love to do the live ghost hunts. We do it quite a bit, live paranormal investigations. Love doing these, but we want to ask you some questions because we do want your experience to be better. So if you guys, especially anybody that watches, if you haven't, I'd definitely invite you to watch us sometime. Do you like when a team is set up and they start moving through the location to the next location? Do you like when that's videotaped? If it's videotaped without making you nauseous, because when the camera's going up and down, of course, it drives me crazy. But if that's done right, do you like that? Or do you prefer to see a location set up? They come on, they say, hey, here, this is where we're at, and they go at it? Or do you like as they move through? So that's my first question for you guys. What did Teresa have? Teresa thinks.
I've been investigating for years and only come across something negative a handful of times.
That's very realistic in all sincerity. Again, we are targeting negative locations because people like in residential that are very, very scared of their location. And even those, I mean, we are filtering down the ones that we can help them help themselves really quick because we know it's not as bad as what they're thinking. We're the ones that we do live, we typically know more of what's really going on there. We've already investigated. We already know or have done our research on the location and know what's been documented and what hasn't.
Kathy smells Old Spice my dad used to wear, but it's out all at night.
And again, a reason why a lot of activity is at night is because that's the best time for you to be aware of it. Things, you settle down, you slow down. There's not all kinds of activity happening, and it's easier for you to notice it. To the gentleman on the right, I knew a guy in Kansas that could
easily be your twin.
Poor guy. I hope his last name's not Murphy is all I can tell him.
Right.
If so, I feel bad for him.
I hope there's not one like me either, so I don't want to.
Well, if it's to my right or your right, could be you.
Could be.
Was it Zach?
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, that'd be too much fun.
When he likes moving.
Moving like okay, so that's what we were asking as far as what do you like? Do you like it when people move as they go? At times, either way.
Gina said either.
Okay, Bonnie's saying moving. She likes moving.
Yeah.
We really want to know because we really want to set it up the way you guys like and show you as we go to the next location because then you can see more of it. But we just need the filming to be a little bit more stable. You know what I mean? I don't like getting nauseous when I'm watching it.
Yeah, this guy ain't gonna be filming.
Yeah, no, he's having a hard enough time walking from location.
Out of the camera. Amber said both. Craig likes moving.
Okay.
Cheryl joined.
Cheryl, thanks for being on. Cheryl Sanders, awesome.
I like watching when you guys walk through in groups or even just at one spot. So basically both.
Okay.
Valerie.
We were asking people, if you're jumping on now, we were just asking which way do you like when you're watching somebody who's online and they're doing a live investigation, do you like as they, not where they just walk to the location and they set up, do you like when they, after they get done with that location, they walk to the next location? Do you like to see that? And that's, we just want your honest opinion on that. We appreciate
likes
that.
It when you move, that way she can see the spirit world.
That makes a lot of sense too, that a lot more people can see what's going on.
Cheryl said it doesn't matter to me. She just likes watching.
We really wanted to, and we weren't able to this year as far as do the 360 camera. I want to go out and get a new 360 camera because I really think it would be awesome if you guys could be watching, like right now, you could watch in a 360 camera and you could actually look around the room. To me, I think that would be phenomenal for our field. So you as the viewer can turn around and just take your phone and start look. You don't have to look at us. And if you have abilities, you can really see what's going on at a location.
Hi, Jennifer, by the way. Jennifer said basically it guess it wouldn't matter to her as long as everyone can follow up on announcing where you are and what you're doing. So.
Understood. I just want to see what, again, what people like. Also, equipment-wise, what do you guys fancy most? It doesn't mean that we're always going to use what somebody likes as opposed to what happens to work best for us. But I would love to hear what you guys like to see used or what technique you guys like to see used in the field. Sandy, I was asking, the first question I was asking again was just, when we're investigating, we're doing a live investigation, we have been setting up and just shooting from that location, and then we'd cut and we'd go to the next location, bring you guys back up live and show you the next location. Do you like that, or do you like more when people walk you through to the next location? The problem we had as a team is we couldn't really do it stable enough that I was comfortable with without making people nauseous. I hate to watch when people spin the camera too much.
You have to do it slow and take your time. Tom, I like watching the setup and learning about the location and the history.
Okay, that's very fair, absolutely. Now, we're guilty. We don't give away very much of the history of the location because we have so many people that are very talented that watch. I'm not letting you guys know that part. I want you guys to tell me.
Right. Teresa Craft said, I like stationary equipment, but live is very nice as well. That's what we do.
Can you call a certain spirit to you, or is it even possible? The answer to that is absolutely yes. The spirit has to want to be coming through you, as well as you have to have the ability to recognize when it's there. That's the difference of what really makes a very good medium or psychic so valuable. Is in some psychics or mediums will tell you, you know what, it's a 1-800 number. You tell me who you want to talk to, and I'll get them here for you. Hey, wonderful. If they can do that, great. Not my cup of tea of what I've experienced from like Janie. Janie's phenomenal. She's either going to talk to the spirit directly, or she's going to talk to the spirit guide that's going to give her information about that particular person. But she cannot make them come through if they're just unavailable. They're doing something else, or they just don't even want to reach out. She can't make them.
Aaron likes what we do. Deborah says, awesome idea. The answer to that good question. It's a reply.
Okay.
Now, Linda said that would be cool. 360.
360 would be phenomenal for us in the field, and that way you know there's not somebody behind the camera clicking something to make the K2 go up. You know, because if I have a walkie-talkie, I can turn it really low so you're not hearing it, and I could click it, and that K2 would keep firing up to red. So then the person in front of the camera could say, hey, you know, if you like it because I'm here, make the K2 shoot it to red, and you click it. And if I back far enough away, I can discern where it's going to make it turn orange or it's going to make it turn yellow just by how close I am to that with a walkie-talkie, giving you an example.
A lot of people like the idea of 360. So.
Yeah, again, it's going to take a little bit, but this is some of the stuff we want to rise up to. I think a lot more of the ghost hunting with 360 would be pretty phenomenal, and that's what we want to do. Fortunately, Josh Bender with Deadlights has lighting that is great enough to go ahead and be able to make that work for us, and we want to go ahead and go forward with it, and that will be happening. The Connects, the grid.
Which you have. Right.
Okay. We do have the Connects, and we are going to start using the Connects a lot more. The Ghost Light Grid, definitely have those. I've been selling them for, gosh knows, half the ones you see on the internet or to people I've sold them to. I've sold off a lot of them. They work great. They're fantastic. The Connects. I do like the Connects too, quite honestly.
I'd like to see it, yeah. So.
I like being walked through to the next location. Yep. All right, so that's something you're going to be seeing coming up. Janie, if you could let Sean know, he better start working on his stability.
Practice walking through your hallways, stairs.
Yeah. Good luck with. That's fine. That's a direction we want to go. We want to make it more user friendly, and again, our big reason for doing it live is for the integrity. We know you can ask the questions when you feel like you can ask the questions. It's excellent.
And that's like we were talking earlier. Like, I would like to see it going through to where we're going at. That way people can see where we're at, what room's where, you know what I mean? But I see both sides of it too. So, so I'd rather do the cut and then show the next location. So.
And before when we asked this question, it was just the opposite. This time it's more people want to see as we go, as opposed to just having it already set up and going. With a 360 camera, I would not do that while we're actually walking, and that the lighting and everything else would be a problem with it. I guess you could move from one location to the other, it just wouldn't be as sharp, but it'd be very interesting. Jennifer, I agree with you on that. The interaction, be able to communicate with people, and that's why we do them live and interactive, or we just go ahead and videotape them ourselves. I like that, like Jennifer does. I like being able to go ahead and let the viewers give their input. Is the input always what we want to hear? Absolutely not. But is it important to have everybody's perspective? As long as it's respectable, absolutely. I think a skeptic should be heard just as much as a believer.
Janie Bass, I would like to see the interview with the client, the walk before, the after, then the investigation, and later the reveal. I agree. So she wants to do from
a whole segment.
Initial, So
I agree. It's not going to be, and matter of fact, Janie has been an advocate of that, and she's been really telling us, hey, this is what you need to do, and she's absolutely right. That's more of an actual show where you can put on the beginning and the end. The lives are a little bit harder to do like that because you really have no time to edit whatsoever.
Eileen didn't like the camera moving.
Eileen, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with you, Eileen. I hate the movement. It drives me crazy. So if we can minimize that, or if we tell you we're about to do that and you can go get your drinks or anything, good time.
Carrie
Popcorn.
Harvey advised, I questioned, are the dowsing rods that you buy on Amazon real or do they work? Always wondered.
Carrie, the answer to that is yes. It's not the two parts to that. Copper is my #1 choice. I've got a copper pair that actually were Janie's. She gets freaked out by them when when I make her use them, because they really do start to swing and move. Copper and brass are the two main materials that should be used on them, and they absolutely work. Do they work for everyone? Absolutely not. Some people it's like they won't let the energy flow through them for something to manipulate it.
Janie.
Yeah, I see Janie. Janie's always willing to help us go to the next.
I love her.
Aaron, thank you so much, sweetheart. We appreciate it, and thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate everybody that has been sharing for us today. We're going to go till 3:30 today, if you're all right with that.
I can't. I'm too tired.
Don't get over it.
I guess I ain't got a choice.
I gave him candy. He's all right.
I guess I ain't got a choice. I'm out of
a
Snickers.
diabetic. I gave candy. He's fine.
I'm out of Snickers.
Right.
I need more Snickers now.
Real quick, again, if you want to get in touch with us, we did put at the top of the page. If you go to the very top of the page where this is at, we've got our link to our page if you want to send us a message. I've got the link for Freddie's personal page, my personal page up there.
Craig's
sharing it as well. We thank you so much. Certainly go to our page. You can check. Hold on to Casey for a second. Casey, hang in there for a minute. Certainly you can go ahead and connect to us if you have something personal. If you have something you didn't really want to type in front of everybody, you have an issue that's happening, or again, you just have a particular question you really truly want answered. If you hit us, we can answer it. If you leave a message right here on Paranormal Warehouse, we're not going to get it. Paranormal Warehouse is a fantastic platform, but there's a lot of teams, a lot of people giving a lot of information out. Casey, I want to go ahead and give you a shout out real quick. Casey and her husband, Bill, they live not too far away from me, and it's funny because as I post things up or I post something about my car, she's like, I see you all the time. So I actually met her and her husband for breakfast so we could sit down and actually talk about some of the activity that they've had. So hopefully in the near future, we'll try to be able to get them to let us investigate their log cabin house. It's beautiful.
I gotta catch up a lot.
Okay, keep on rolling through. Yeah, and that's location based. Locations are different, where some clients definitely want to keep it absolutely, hey, we don't want to have anything about us known or anything. It's very, very important. So trying to do the client interviews is hard. Excuse me. It's very, very hard to get that at the time. Gilson and Laura's on. Thank you so much for being on, guys.
Hey,
we appreciate it.
Laura.
Obviously, your insight's always welcome. We appreciate that so much. Somebody was just, again, commenting about the rods. I prefer the copper rods personally,
or brass,
or definitely brass. But the copper, again, the rods do work. And some people are going to work for really, really well. Other people are not going to work for nearly as much. But the placement, and again, when you're using dowsing rods, and Janie, we're going to have you on a show, play with the dowsing rods. You're going to have to show people just how they work live, because it's amazing. Some people want to use the dowsing rods and they always just ask them to cross. Gilson can attest to the same thing. Him and I have had different people around us, including Janie, and she'll be holding the dowsing rods out here, and we get close enough because we want you to see the hands. Because to make one of these rods, only one, spin around by itself, you have to manipulate your hand. I mean, you really can see it. And Gilson and I have both had Janie, and we'd say, okay, take this rod and make it spin this way, and that rod would start spinning and then stop upon command, or we take and have them spinning opposite ways. That's pretty amazing when you actually get a chance to see that.
You ain't talking about the log cabin, I guess.
Well, Casey showed me something that I have not seen. Going back, and that's what she's talking about, is the log cab. Casey, that's yours that Janie's picking up on, by the way. Janie, again, is our medium. That's the one we have the poster behind us of,
back here.
the banner.
Okay.
Thank you, Vanna. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But Casey showed me something that was really cool. You know, now with the pictures, when you take the picture, it's called a live picture. So it takes about 1.5 seconds of a snapshot, like a short video. She's got, it's an open location that it's inside. It's like a 30 by 40 foot building. In this, it looks like mist starts to come at you and it breaks into 3 different sections. It just goes away. And I can't really debunk that yet. So if you guys have come across that, I'd love to know. You can ask them to point. We've asked them to point the rods, the dowsing rods. We ask them to point in certain directions. We ask them to point at the female in the room, at the males in the room. We ask them to point at myself or somebody in particular. We just name a name and just say, hey, can you point that at such another? We ask them to stop when they are spinning. We just ask them to outright stop, and they have stopped. It's been phenomenal. Diana had dowsing rods and put them over my son's head. One went crazy and spun out of control. Casey, there you go.
Yeah.
Casey's like, that's my cat in the cabin. Yes, her cat is, yeah. Again, I haven't talked to Janie about your house at all, Casey. I know, you know, you'll find out. We'll get Janie to come over. Actually, we go to your house, Casey. If you let us come hit your house, investigate it, we'll have Janie come over there. That'll be fun. That's our medium. You'll have a blast. That'll be a whole lot of fun, trust me. Oh, you're caught up, man. You are rocking today. I give you credit, Gilson. There I go. I apologize. Gilson, I'm sorry. Freddie, I'm sorry. I always keep calling them the wrong name, and you've only been on my team for how long? 8 years?
You're lucky I can't call you a wrong name.
You can call me a wrong name.
No.
See what happens. You just can't get away from me fast enough.
Right, exactly.
I do have bigger objects on the side.
Exactly. Yeah. I have a cup.
Both of you guys, I apologize for. Both of them are like, I'll take them apart. Let me see if I can go ahead and pull up a couple more audio clips real quick. You got something in particular? Help yourself.
Casey said, I told you. Kathy has activities have shown themselves several ways: opening doors, drawers, turning the TV channel, and noises. But my main experience was when I was 13. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish reading.
The main experience was when I was 13. I had a Victorian dress female come to me often as she was mothering me, and it was real foggy dress. But let me click that some more. Sorry. But pure white. She had lived peacefully in the house, but this was an old plantation home that a lady was. My fingers ain't working. Man.
Between your fingers and the computer, it's all good.
I'm trying to. I can't.
We love hearing the experiences you guys have.
And basically researched it. We assumed the lady was still there. So
she was left to live as a widow
after
they researched it, which was pretty phenomenal. I just want to go over another clip real quick, audio. Not all voices are so clear that you can hear exactly what they're saying. Some are not, some are. I did answer yeah, but the rest of what you were just hearing was not me. I really want to go back to that, the ITC, because I talk about the ITC collaboration a lot. We'll find that one in a moment. Here we go. People have also asked, and I played this on our last video as far as on our page, but I want to play it for you guys again, the ITC Collaboration Pro. What we will do is we will turn around and ask for a specific word to be said. You know, if you want help, ask for help, and that's what we're expecting. Janie is still responding to Casey. There's an older man and a child at the cabin.
And Casey said, absolutely, come to my house. Right above it. Come on.
Yeah, well, it'll get there. Oh, you're talking about your computer. No, I'm talking about mine.
Thanks for the live videos.
You're going to say help really loud. If you're not happy and you want help, you have to say the word help.
Maybe a little louder so you could hear it this time, but I'm just going to play the last half. This is all one clip that we're playing.
If you're not happy and you want help, you have to say the word help.
Now that's me obviously talking. Now listen for this conversation. That is not somebody who's physically in there. That was with the ITC Collaboration Pro, and that is only that app. People always ask for apps. That app only has phonetics. There are no actual words in it.
If you're not happy and you want help, you have to say the word help.
Go ahead.
Gina is there a speech-to-text app that you could use to assist in interpreting those?
Actually, I wish Dixieland was on right now, or Gettysburg, the Haunted Trails, Gettysburg. They were using a system that was showing some of the verbiage of what was coming across, which I found awesome, and it was very accurate to what they had coming through. So Gina, yes, there is. I'd like to find out a little bit more, and once we experiment with it, I'll definitely be glad to throw it out there to everybody.
Teresa, I'd love for you guys to explain why children are typically more sensitive. I know a lot of people are interested in that. My oldest son, who's 12, is autistic, and even though I'm sensitive, there's a lot he hears and feels that I do not. He's super sensitive.
Well, autistic have the jump on us. They are much more in tune, regardless what anybody believes. Their intelligence is usually actually higher than the average person, and they are, again, much more in tune with everything. To explain it in a very short manner, children aren't brainwashed nearly as much as we are. Most of us, we have these restrictions we try to live in. The scientific rules, the science, science proved this, whatever. But all the time we're finding out science was wrong. This can happen here, this happens there. There can't be life at this location because there's no oxygen, yet you find out, hey, guess what? Something doesn't have to breathe oxygen to be alive. Thank you so much for putting the ITC Collaboration Pro
Thanks,
up.
Craig.
So children, because they're not constantly told, no, that's not right, there's no such thing as ghosts. We were told that a lot growing up. Some people weren't, but the majority were, is what I'm talking about. So it's a lot easier for them to hear what's coming through.
On your EVP you just played, help us, please help, sounded like it said it want your help.
Now, that was a spirit box. That's a spirit box that's usually making all that noise as it goes through. I just filter that out. I always keep a copy of the raw material, but I filter that out. I'm sorry, that one was the ITC collaboration. My apologies. Yeah. So there was no filtering to that. You're actually hearing what was coming through that box at the time. I misspoke on it.
Amber picked up, help Rob, please help.
So again, my name's Rob. How much more specific do you want? And they're asking for help. You can clearly hear that. I believe that was the plasma box is what they were using for the Gettysburg Haunted Trails. I believe it's what Bonnie was talking about, which if it is, that was pretty awesome. That was a blast to listen to.
Janie said, I would love to walk this cabin activity inside and outdoors.
Janie, we're more than welcome to, she said we'd be able to do that. So after we knock off the next couple of investigations, we will go ahead and start putting that one on board if you want. Exactly, Kathy. That's what makes that piece. How much more do you want? There's only phonetics, and it has 12 different languages, so they can even use different languages, which we've had it at a location which none of us spoke German. People watching our live investigation said, no, they're talking to you, but they're talking in German. We did not know, again, what any of the words were saying because it was all German. So I said, can you please talk in English? And we got no, and they went right back to German.
Valerie, when you get these recordings of spirits asking for help, how do you help them?
Valerie, we absolutely do crossings. When we know there's a location where somebody is trapped, if we have it helps. Obviously, we're fortunate. We have some great people that will watch, including having our own team medium, Janie, with us. And when we know that somebody wants to be crossed, we can help get them across. We've been very successful at that. I don't care who believes in it. It only matters between us, the homeowner, and the ones that have crossed.
The plasma box was what
okay.
they were using. So
that was extremely interesting,
so
and I definitely love to hear more of it. And again, I want to use it personally before I advocate for it, but that's a good possibility that I'll be advocating for it. the plasma box for what it was doing. Thank you so much.
Seriously, I'm caught up.
You are just rocking today, man. I am impressed.
Watch out.
I am impressed.
I am on a roll.
Yes, you are.
I am on a roll today.
So definitely appreciate everybody being on. Again, if you have any questions you want to send to us, message us on our page. Please do not just message Paranormal Warehouse for it. Love for you to tell Paranormal Warehouse you love what you're seeing. That would be great. What does Aaron have up there?
Yes, I've often saw a little girl in a white dress in one spot of our trailer all the time growing up. But it was a pasture when we were when the trailer moved in there. Once grown, I feel she was in pioneer times, but no more info than that.
And again, that's what we're talking about. When you have a lot of locations, the people are, it's not necessarily what's there now, the house that's there. It can darn sure be what happened on the land. It could be what happened on a building that was prior in that location.
Valerie says, so in these recordings, do you go back to the location to help the spirits cross, or do you do it anyway when you're out there at the moment?
A lot of which we do at the moment, in all sincerity, Valerie. We, again, with people that are watching and they're tuning in and they're picking up on what's going on. I've had some very talented people, not just our medium. I've had been fortunate to have some very, very gifted people on my team that could pick up on some, they weren't at a medium rate, but they were so detailed on what they were picking up and how hard it was hitting them from their empathy side. We knew we needed to go ahead and cross certain people at certain locations. And yeah, while we're there, we try to cross. We have not always crossed the same ones that needed crossing right then. There's another location we definitely have to go back to actually cross he was very mean, he was very nasty, he was holding things back, but now he wants to cross, so we're going to go ahead and let him cross. Help him cross if we can. Just call him buddy, he's on a roll. All right, buddy. Thanks, Sandy. You ain't going to live that one down.
I was trying to get the
Kathy
here.
Yep.
I was never told, so there is no such thing. I was always told I have a gift because I've had conversation with these people are here and convinced my father.
Let me jump into that.
You jump.
No, I got what you're reading and everything, but I want to throw that in there. There's a difference, Kathy, like for yourself, that when you're growing up and you have people, you're surrounded by people that want to believe you or are willing to believe you, that's huge. For Janie, I'm going to use her as an example. Janie, on the other hand, was just the opposite. They didn't want to believe her. They thought she was making up stories, and that's very harmful to an individual trying to have self-esteem. She was constantly belittled for it. Realistically, even saying she's a medium, and not just her, there's other people that their family members just outright won't deal with them anymore. If Philip was on here, he's got the same thing. He's been around people that are like, yeah, no, you just deal with devil stuff. And that's not the case. What does Pam have? Pam, thanks for being on.
Question maybe more for Jeannie. I keep hearing the name Frank, like he's trying really hard to get through and be heard. Does this register or mean anything?
Jenny, if you get a chance, or anybody else that has abilities, if you are willing to go ahead and answer that, it'd be great. If anything's coming to you right off top, again, that's definitely not for us. You're right. It's definitely one for Janie. Brian, thanks for being on with us.
So para-unity is called, yeah.
I love the para-unity. I love people working with one another. Write down what he tells you, Pam, is what Janie's telling you. If you hear him saying something or you feel him saying something or something's coming to you right away, start writing it down. But Diane, I've had experiences since I was 4 years old. My parents always believed me and supported me. I was very fortunate. And the children nowadays are going to be even a lot more fortunate than most people were in the past. There are children, there are adults now that were absolutely beaten when they were young. If they said that they saw something, they were beaten. I mean, physically beaten to try to get them to stop saying they saw anything. And that is not good by far.
Jennifer. Okay, pass it up. That's okay, Freddie. Thanks, Jennifer.
There's a lot of people that are recognizing what they are, whether you're an empath. And empaths, you don't typically stop at being an empath. Give yourself a little bit of time. You'll be surprised that all of a sudden more is coming to you. It's not uncommon. I'm an advocate for children and adults to realize just because you have abilities, which at first they're going to feel like more like curses, You're not broke. There's nothing wrong with you. And you'll hear me reiterate that over and over. I love people with abilities. It's amazing what you guys can come up with. I will always test people with abilities, even our own medium. She's never just, I don't, as a true investigator, I just don't take everybody's word for it, even though she's proven herself hundreds of times. It's just, it's in the nature. You keep challenging what anybody says and looking through it. You're going through them so fast, I can't keep up, man.
Well, I'm going back to, I think I skipped something from Jennifer. I think that's what she said.
She was going back to the dowsing rods. You can buy any copper dowsing rods, and when you want to start using them, the best way is to tune them in, is to tune them is while you're grounding yourself. This will help you tune them to you and your energy. There you go. And that's a step we don't typically take, and that's probably why Janie's works so well, to actually go ahead and while you're grounding, have those copper dowsing rods on you. Yeah, see? She was straightening you out. You missed her.
I know.
Missed her
I'm
comment,
sorry,
so
Jennifer.
like,
I apologize.
And when you're watching the show, it's really big. Elliot, thanks for being on. Appreciate. When you're watching the show, especially a live investigation, and we invite you all the time. We say, hey, just tell us how you're feeling. I don't care if you're a known psychic, if you're a known medium. I don't care if you've never been known to have abilities. If you feel like you're getting something, I'm inviting you to please go ahead and come through and put it out there. You know, if you get a particular name, maybe you have more gifts than what you realize. It's the confirmations that make you stronger. The more times that you hit on somebody, you hit Bobby is a word that comes, a name that comes up for you, and you're hitting Bobby when you're watching one. Everybody else is saying Jane, Jim, John, and you're coming up with this Bobby, but we have the history that there was a Bobby that was there. That's pretty impressive. Bonnie, ESP. Okay, she's got extrasensorial perception. I have an issue. I keep seeing this long hallway with all the yes. And last time I was
down the stairs, I am.
All right, well, if you don't start writing that better, Bonnie, I'm having a hard time. We're EPS, so if it's for us. First of all, Bonnie, lay off the Kool-Aid, okay? Woosa, calm down with that drink. Bonnie, I'm never going to call you nuts. You are definitely in tune. It's amazing what you come up with. Let's get to Teresa real quick if you can.
My parents didn't come clean about what I was experiencing as a child until I was about 14 years old, and I was asked not to go public with my family about it. They said they saw what I was experiencing often, but didn't really want to acknowledge it, in fear of how it would open me up more. My mom is sensitive, so she knew exactly what was going on. Like a lot, my dad was a little denial until it was really thrown in his face.
It's hard for a lot of people to really go ahead and comprehend. Look, again, 18, 20 years ago, you were going to go ahead and be put in for evaluations. You're going to believe that you were mentally unstable and get you out of there, okay?
Janie.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm watching Bonnie's comment just came up. Eyes,
Janie,
damn spell check.
Janie, Freddie didn't believe me when I first met him.
Freddie?
Exactly, I didn't.
What did she say to you right off the start?
And this is before I even talked to you about she was coming down. And to me, I'm going, well, you know what? I'll test her. I will. I'll test her. Because I never seen anybody that could do what they say that they could do. And I first met her, and she walked in the door. I remember it like yesterday. Walked in the door, and she goes, I don't like you. I said, wow, thanks. You know, like the first person that don't like me. Okay. And she goes, well, you're testing me. I was like, oh. Yeah, I mean, so for her to pick that up, I mean, and there was a couple more little challenges throughout, but I will tell you from personal experience with stuff wise, she is amazing. Yeah, amazing. There's locations we went on that she didn't know anything about. You didn't even know anything about.
Correct.
Yeah, we met at the gas station and we drove there, and she picked up on stuff like you wouldn't believe. Like it was just
the biggest part that I absolutely, I can't say the biggest. I do love Janie, so I am very biased in that sense. But the difference of Janie as opposed to many people that you're ever going to meet is Janie will turn around and look at you. She'll give you a high five and be like, we nailed it.
Yep.
Again, I love people. She's always willing to learn, but she always says we. She's always a team person. She says we. And I can't push that enough.
It's never her, I. It's we.
She's the only one seeing it. She's the one actually doing it. But she always comes back and says, told you, brother, we nailed it. We nailed it. And I think the world of that. I love people that are willing to go ahead and not look for it on themselves, but look for the fact that they're doing it as a collaboration. No different than we work with other teams like Grounded Paranormal. If we do something, nobody has to have credit for it. It's we, and that's a great feeling when you can do something like that. And nobody's going to walk away being upset about it. Grounded Paranormal is just as stable as we are. They just like what they were able to help accomplish in a particular situation or anything. It's amazing. I think that's what the field needs more of. You're still caught up?
Yes, I'm still caught up. Bang! Nailed it. Nailed it, buddy.
We nailed it.
We nailed it.
You better learn from Janie.
I hope she didn't hear me.
What we got? I believe they are there to visit you or can be giving you guidance and messages. She was replying to somebody else. Hey, just to give you guys a quick insight on our page, and you're going to want to do this because I'm telling you, this is definitely a camera worth having. If you go on Facebook and you look up Gettysburg Haunted Trails or Dixieland Mystical Society, Dixieland's been using this rig I'm going to show you. They've probably got a different light with it now. I'm not sure. This is a simple IR camera rig. Depending on what kind of phone you have, if you have an Android, you can actually learn how to actually plug this into your Android as far as your camera. This has been modified. It's an IR camera, and we are going to have a competition. Obviously, it's going to be like a sharing competition. We're going to share a particular post. But as a giveaway, we're going to come up with some type of way to be able to promote, obviously, our page. But thank you, Vanna. We appreciate that. But also this rig. It will come with a rechargeable battery for the IR light. This is not the typical IR light we like to use, but it absolutely will work, especially in like rooms and whatnot. It will not work at a long distance because the IR will fade out. If you're too close, like if you're within 3 or 4 feet, this is definitely going to go ahead and wash the person out right in front of it. But you can go ahead and just get some plastic, different types of plastic, and it will actually diffuse the light a little bit for you. But this is going to be coming out on our page. Craig just went ahead and put our page up there. If you go to our page, check this out, and we're going to be giving this rig away. We're going to be giving it away very soon, definitely within the next week or two. We're going to do one, and then we'll follow up with something else after that. But again, you will actually be able to shoot IR video. You can live stream with this. Where you plug this, you could take and plug this in right to your laptop. It's USB port. You can actually plug it in your laptop, and you can actually go live right here on Facebook. And even whoever gets it, I'll absolutely walk you through going live with it too. It doesn't get much better than that. Very simple, very mobile. It does have a tripod adapter where you go ahead and put it onto a tripod, put it right on top of your tripod, and you're good to go at your location. Pretty sweet. The mic on this is extremely sensitive. It's great. So we are going to be giving that away very soon.
Bonnie just posted, Freddie sent one to Lacey, and she would pay you whenever she comes up.
Bonnie, we will hook Lacey up. Again, Lacey is the 9-year-old that was at the KOA who investigated with us. She was also just on a feed recently, and it was phenomenal. We are out of time. Ouch. We are out of time, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and jump off. Paul, I'm so sorry. We're getting ready to jump off right now. Go ahead.
Valerie, what do we do when we get to your page to enter to win? So,
I'm going to be posting it on our page. I've just got to come up with it. We just decided to go ahead and do this. We're going to give this away. I will be posting it on the page. So you will see a post up by tomorrow that's going to give you the competition. So just check our page out. I would love for you to like our page. You don't have to. Check our page out for when it comes up, and it's going to be some type of share or something, so that we can go ahead and give one away. It's not going to be the only one we give away. Trust me. Any call out, shout outs real quick?
No, but thank you guys for jumping on, joining us. and bearing with us for an hour and a half so of our entertainment.
Thank you for all the shares, all your comments, all your input. We sincerely appreciate that so much. You guys all have a great weekend. Thank you.
See you next week.
Love and light.